Well, welcome to another video, another mind training video. Somebody asked me in one of my last videos I did, what's going on there with your head when in the beginning when you do that nodding the head thing? It's like, well, that's actually light communication happening, and I've made a couple of videos. If you scroll down about 20 videos, you'll find one there, and there's another one with Rosanna and I sitting on the couch together, opening our minds and having a moment of communication, mind to mind, as one mind, whiteboard, two people, let's say sitting down on the couch, and we're not having a moment of mind to mind communication this way, like ESP. It's occurring this way. Here's the cosmic consciousness, let's say. We'll just call it COS for short. So Rosanna opens her mind because she's been practicing mind training of the Course in Miracles, learning how to be still. When you master the stillness, your mind automatically opens, and that channel that connects you to the miracle level or the higher mind opens here, where all communication is occurring all at once, right? I open my mind, same thing, and down here through the body, we begin to have an effect of that communication, right? That can look like healing, physical healing. That can look like metaphysical experience. That can look like anything, right? But one of the byproducts, I call it a byproduct, but it's really, if you want to call it the language, I know there's a lot of talk these days about, oh, my love language is this and my love. It's not that. But there's a language or a communication that you open up to, which, how would I put it? It brings joy, because joy is the automatic response to release from temporal association, release from the world, release from the order of form association. Okay, so in the idea of forgiving myself for the world that I think I see in my own mind, in my individual consciousness, I become less and less attached to it as I go along, which is the purification process, right? Spiritual purification, transformation, whatever you want to call it. Become less and less attached. I become, in my own sense of self, I feel like I'm in the world but no longer really of it, right? And that deepens, that becomes more and more the nature of things, and you find that all your friends fall away and everything sort of leaves you, but at the same time you're not concerned about it. There's no loss, there's no sense of like, oh no, all my friends, because there's this overwhelming accompaniment to every shift you have, that it's divine, that it's purposeful, and that it's natural, right? Now, Jesus says in the Course, communication is natural. When it doesn't occur, something's gone wrong. Okay, so when you see me doing that, right, I'm simply opening my mind in an instant. It used to take me an hour or more in meditation to actually push through that veil of consciousness. Now it's, I don't know that it's not there, but it's so wafer thin, that it doesn't prevent communication at all, you know. And so I experience communication, the result of which is joy, because every lower to higher opening to higher mind alleviates, what would you say? It takes some of the weight off, right? And it's nice to have the weight off. It's like yesterday I spent a long time scrolling, or doom scrolling, appropriately named, doom scrolling natural disasters and things, because I'm pushing in, I'm looking to see, I'm making an experiment, I'm trying to dig in and see if I've still got any residual fear, residual denial, whatever, And everything becomes a useful tool in that, even doom scrolling. Not to be confused with Doom, the PlayStation game. Very good, apparently, the new one. So when we tap into the cosmic consciousness, or I shouldn't call it that, miracle mind, when we tap into the miracle level, what happens is, because all things up here is known, all communication is singular, we both experience the download or the communication, higher to lower, coming downstream, at exactly the same moment, and our expression, which comes as laughter, becomes synchronized. Ha for ha. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, exactly at the same time. It's one mind. And if you watch closely in that particular video, if you scroll down and watch closely, you'll see there are moments in that communication where specifically we are perfectly synchronized in our expression of the communication, which in this world transfers as laughter. Now, that laughter is a harmonic. That laughter is a vibratory expression that is divine. Right? Jesus says in the Bible that the sound of heaven is, the language of heaven or something is the laughter of children, right? Or the sound of heaven is like the laughter of children. And it is, And one of the things he says in the Course in Miracles is all of these things that seem to be serious effects of the tiny mad idea can now be laughed away, right? And I occasionally have people say, man, how can you laugh at pain and suffering and whatever? I'm not laughing at it. Right? I'm laughing it away. It is ridiculous, like I'm laughing at it in that regard. It's fucking ridiculous when you can see that you're doing this to yourself. It's like, but you don't remember. It's in that, like in that video that I made, the things you don't know that you don't know. Well, it's not that you don't know. It's like you don't know that you don't remember. That's what it really is. So when you remember that you're doing this to yourself, finger on the nose, it's like, holy shit, I must be mad. Yes. I'm fucking mad. I'm totally insane, right? But so's the whole world. And the funny thing is, all the people out there that think that they're sane and everybody else is mad, it's like, hello, look where you find yourself. I remember some statistics, like 1 in 4 people will experience a mental illness in their lifetime. It's like, well, hang on, you are mentally ill. You're a being in a world that doesn't know the meaning of life, why you're here, what it's all about, nothing. That's mental illness, dude. That's like fucking really mental illness. That's something, that's a serious foundational corruption there. The corruption of self. What is myself? So, but that's the amnesia that you get when you come to this place, when you come to this world. You're going to memory wipe because part of the necessity of the idea of free will, which God gave you, is that you believe at least that you have the free will to make your own decisions, and that the return to the light or the return to love is your own decision and it's not forced upon you, right? But you have to see what the alternatives are. So, boom, let's build mind a world. There's Australia down here. It gets more messy every time I draw it. New Zealand and whatever else is up there, I don't know. Africa. Let's build a world, right? So, and I'm just going to jump ahead here a little bit. Celestials in charge of the atonement, right? And when I say celestials, don't think of ETs. Try to think more angelic. Celestials, let's build them a world, right? An illusory world. You could say it's a virtual world. You could say it's are we in a like Elon Musk thinks we're in a matrix, a digital matrix. Maybe. It doesn't really matter, but it's a dream, it's an illusion, it's not reality. That's all that really matters, is that you come to understand that. So let's build them a world. And one of the things in the Earth text, it says the world was made, not created, made. And there's a big section in the Course that delineates the difference between what is made and what is created. So I'm sure that they wouldn't fuck up that grammar there and put word made if they meant to put created. So the world was made as a place where mind can come to undergo the transformation. Right? It's a repair ground. It's the you know, when divers go down, scuba divers, and they go really deep and they have to stop on the way up and do a debrief, you know, like a detox from all the nitrogen in the system. It's like that. So the world is a place where you come. This is where you do your detox. This is where you do your mind training, where your purification occurs. And it's been necessary. I mean, it started 2,000 years ago, let's say. I mean, it's probably been around for a lot longer because there are minds on the planet that have awoken before Jesus. I mean, Buddha, you know, 500 years before. But as an official out of the closet, this is it, we're starting here, drawing a line in the sand kind of thing, the resurrection was it. That was the start, right? So this is the official start of salvation in this planet, on this planet, in this particular experience, because now consciousness has risen up enough that the concepts that are necessary for salvation, the concepts that you need to understand, the being and the structure of mind in denial as consciousness has formulated and evolved to a point where it can actually grasp the concepts. You know, if you went back to Paleolithic man or whatever, you know, caveman, and tried to tell them about God and the universe and everything, you'd probably get clubbed over the head. They were still conscious in a certain sense, but the capacity for conscious discernment and analysis and things like that hadn't yet developed. Hunter-gatherer, you know. So here we are in the year 2025. Toshi from Japan. Hello, Toshi. 2025. And we are somewhat, and I say that loosely, we are somewhat elevated as consciousness to a point where we can understand the concepts and principles that the Course puts forth. And I say somewhat because in my doom scrolling, I found a 10-year ago interview of people in the street in Australia about football and the football culture in Australia. I don't want to poo-poo on it, but it's pretty simple. Not saying that people that like football aren't capable of understanding the principles of salvation, but there's a gap, like, you know, and it's just generally, you'll see it, you know. It's not, I'm not trying to be judgmental here, but like, as if you look at the idea of paleontology, the study of human, is that paleontology? The study of human evolution, culture, all that sort of thing, through fossils predominantly, I guess, going right back. But there is a sliding scale. There are those obviously more advanced than others as far as conceptual arbitration and the ability to grasp things goes. So I don't want to get into that because that sounds terrible. But if we come back here to the world, it's like, well, I've got this opportunity. Right, I've got an opportunity being presented to me through this video, through whatever, through the Course in Miracles, this little book, which Tyna now has a direct link down below. It's in the last videos, maybe not the Satsang video that we did. I don't know if she puts the links below those, but have a look. But you'll find the link for this. People have been asking me, where can I get this little book you talk about? And she'll get one to you. I'll get one to you. Somebody will. If you've already got the Course in Miracles, you don't need this. Okay, this is just extracts from that, so pocket version, but it's very helpful. So you've got this opportunity now, right, to take advantage of, the whole world has, to take advantage of cosmic consciousness communication, higher mind communication. And the more people that connect and start to have these awakening individual things, it's one mind connecting, right? It's one mind connecting to the higher level, rather than taking verbatim that what's going on in the world is all that there is, right? We're learning that we're supported by a higher power, that there is something else going on, even if we can't make sense of it initially. or even if we don't know how to witness to the will of God, let's say on earth. But the way to witness to the will of God is simply to let go and let that happen. You can't work it out with your pointy brain. You have to experience it. It's not something that you can make a decision one day, well, I'm going to sit down and study the Bible, read every spiritual book, and then I'll understand. No, you won't. All you'll do is fill up your head with a lot of rubbish, right? Faith. Unless a man lives by faith alone, he shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Faith is letting go. I'm going to let go and let God. I'm going to have faith here. And you have to do that. And every time you have faith, you'll have a shift, and boom, the power of your mind to access the cosmic consciousness, the miracle level of mind, will become stronger and stronger and stronger. And your link to the world will become weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's what you're looking for. That's what you want. Okay. Now, those of you that are sitting there going, well, that'll be boring if I lose all my friends. Well, if you think that way, then maybe you're not ready. That's all I can tell you. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you've got to really look at the world and see what's actually on offer here, because I can guarantee you, whether you believe me or not, everything ends in death. Pain, suffering, and death. And a lot of people don't want to look at that. We live our lives as if it's never going to happen, which is good in one way. Live like you're going to last forever and live like today's your last day on earth, whatever that saying is. But as a realist, it's like, well, the end of this vessel is imminent, and the older it seems to get. I mean, I'm 60 now. Who would have thought that? Not too bad looking for 60. Still got all my own teeth. So being a realist and looking at things, it's like, well, when you realize that time's always against you, let's be about it. Let's be about it. And I would encourage anyone who wants to be about it more and increase it. And I know there's thousands of you guys now, got like over 10,000 subscribers on this channel, as well as on Facebook. I constantly have people send me things, hey dude, I've been in the background watching your thing and following your page for years. I've never heard of these people. They're just quiet observers and quiet practitioners and quiet whatever. But so who knows how many there are really, but I really appreciate all the comments down below and people telling me what's happening. I don't get to write a whole lot back sometimes. I usually just put a couple of love hearts and things like that. But love hearts are nice. But, I would encourage you, if you are interested in speeding up this process, in being about it more and becoming more of a proactive witness to the shifts in consciousness that are waiting for you to take advantage of them, that you watch the last video, the one that'll be below this one, which is the Zoom meeting, the Satsang video that we did. And specifically, where's my duster, eraser, whatever. You ever had one of these thrown at you, the wooden one? When I was in grade 6, my teacher, my mathematics teacher, right, used to get the cane when I was a kid. I know kids in school these days, they have it easy. They don't even get told off. It's just like, stop that, you naughty. We used to get the cane, and I had one of these thrown at me by Mrs. Crane, my mathematics teacher in year 5. Wallop. She was a good shot, right in the scone. But I think they were called dusters back then, because you would clap them together with the chalk and like a whole cloud of dust. So sidetracked. Oh, in the Zoom meeting, thank you, got a prompt. In the Zoom meeting, let's say here's my computer screen, and sometimes we'll have like 20 people, sometimes half a dozen. It's a different kind of thing each time. Right, that everything's orchestrated divinely, so whoever's there is meant to be there in the Zoom meeting. We'll have all these people, and one of the things I like to do, which I have found to be very powerful, and this is something I did with this little book. This has been printed in a few different versions, different cover pictures and things over the years. But one of the things that I like to do with it, which I was encouraged to do with it when I was going through my first years with the Course in Miracles, was to read it every day. Now, mostly, apart from the few little stories I put in the front to try and bridge the gap for people, and there's a few quotes by other ascended masters, Shankara and Gurdjieff and Kabir and things like that, people like that. But when you get to the core of the work in this little book, it is the reviews of the first 50 lessons of A Course in Miracles, right? So from here on in is the reviews of the first 50 lessons of the Course, which is the whole thought system of the Course in a nutshell. What we do in the, and I read this every day, every morning for 6 years straight after my awakening. I had to, because my mind was just going a million miles an hour. I could have 50 thoughts between now and the next half an hour, let's say, about different things, and I could keep track of them all perfectly in my mind. It was like I was a freaking savant or something. It was quite spooky what my mind could do, because it was supercharged with light, having gone from the world to superconscious as an entire experience, not just a glimpse, an entire experience of being completely in the Godhead. And back here on earth, what do you do with that? It's just, it is total information all at once, right? No more questions, no more doubt. And I know that other enlightened minds over the years have expressed it much that way, you know, like once you reach enlightenment, there's nothing else you need to know. Everything is already known by you, and I guarantee you I know everything. I'm not good at mathematics, not that kind of knowing everything. I know everything about what I'm meant to know in my ministry as far as the celestial order and how things work. How I express it, however, that's tricky. Some of the stuff doesn't have words. But using this little book, right, using this little book, so we do a round robin, start on lesson 1, and someone will read that out loud in the group, right? Someone will read this out loud in the group, and then the next person, next person, next person. Now what happens is, and you'll see this in the video very specifically, I'm addressing this in that video, in the last video, in the Satsang video, specifically for this reason, for you guys watching this at home who aren't in the Satsangs, and you can be if you want to, just contact Tyna. What happens is everybody reads it like this, right? And I'm just going to dumb it down a bit, like, and then the next one, and the next person, right? So Mickey Mouse, but they read it passionlessly, with no passion. It's just words on a page, right? It's just the mind reiterating what it thinks it sees through the eyes without including the heart. And that's, everybody does that. Everyone in the world. By the time you get to middle age and you think you can meet the world on equal terms, you're exactly a robot like that. You're an NPC. And you have to include in the fact that you're probably an NPC, non-player character. Because awakening, which is this process, is taking you from that base model of being an NPC, awakening you to the truth of yourself as the Christ, and activating you within the framework of the world to represent the universal curriculum to shorten the time of suffering for everybody, right? And there is so many ins and outs to it. There is so much rhetoric, really, maybe not rhetoric, but there's so much verbiage. There is so much to learn and unlearn that I've got 500 videos on my channel. You could probably watch them all 10 times and you'd still come up short, you know, because you have to have your own experience. Experience is the teacher, and that's what I'm getting to here, right? So what happens is everyone's reading like they've been trained to read by the world. You know, when people watch TV and there's a horrible thing happening, I watched about a whole village in Switzerland this morning that's been covered over by a mudslide or a mountain collapse, and everybody, I think they got everybody out, but the whole village is gone basically. And you watch things like that, and you watch horrible things, you know, doom scrolling. You watch horrible things and you feel quite indifferent to it because it's out there, it's away, it's somebody else, it's not you. If it was happening in your own backyard, the heart and the mind, like, oh my God, it would make you feel a certain way, right? But we tend to dumb ourselves down and isolate ourselves from our emotions because the world's too much. How much more can you take? You know, at the point of my awakening, just prior to my illumination, I couldn't take any more. I'd protested in forests. I'd protested about pollution of rivers from cyanide, from gold mining, deforestation, endangered. I was a bit of a greenie. I didn't start out as a greenie. I was a truck driver and everything. And, you know, I kind of fell into it somehow because I was affected directly. My fishing spot, all the fish were dead, you know, floating on the... I'm like, what the fuck has happened to my favourite fishing spot, you know? Anyway, and that started a whole roller coaster of involvement with things. But it brought me to the point I couldn't take anymore. But I realised I'd been living my life dense. I'd been living my life as an NPC, just going along, being a second figure in my life, not the main character, you know. And I don't know how that happened to me, because I remember being a child, I was very passionate about things, and I loved, you know, even as a very small child in the playground, you know, I loved playing with other kids, loved it. Just, woohoo, life is just brilliant, you know. Where did that go? You got to grow up now, and you got to earn money, and you got to, you know, all that fucking shit. And I say it's effing shit because it is. But welcome to the world. This is the experience, right? So you're learning. So anyway, we're reading these round robin out of the 20-minute book, and some people are reading it off their phone, you know, in the reviews of the first 50 from the course. And you'll see in the video, and I would love for you guys to all watch it, right? It goes for 2 hours, so I don't know if you've got 2 hours that you value yourself that much, you know, and that's what it comes down to. How much do I value my education spiritually? And if you're finding these videos useful, then really look at it that way. But I'll go around each person, ask them to read something, all right? And then because what they're reading is expressed as a vibration, my mind is now open to the vibratory frequency of the universe as per the ministry that I have relative to salvation in general. I don't know if that makes sense, but I know what I need to know. I feel what I need to feel, and I'm totally useful to the atonement from my own individual perspective, and how that plays out interacting with others is always going to be perfect, because I'm understanding that it's not a Dave that's doing anything. Dave gets used, but there's a higher function that's happening, right? Where two or more come together for you know, there I am in the midst of them. That's Jesus. So we've got all these people in a room. We've all come together to learn, to unlearn, and to learn, to reclaim our power, to reclaim our light, to burn brightly again and stand up and declare ourselves, I'm not a body, I'm not doomed to die. And that expression changes everything. That's a frequency that goes around the world. You know, and the more of us the more that awaken, and the more of us that need to awaken, the better. And to begin to represent the universal curriculum, whether you're giving away one of these books to a friend, or whether you're sitting with somebody in a cafe and suddenly realize that the conversation's turned to doom and gloom, and you're there for a reason, and you're going to represent something else, because if you don't, you'll join in the doom and gloom. Right, so all of these people are reading, and I'm listening, not with my ear, with my heart. I'm listening to the vibration of the expression that comes through. And I guarantee you, when you watch the video, you'll see in like majority of these people a shift in the mindset, a shift, because I address each one individually, and I tell them something, and I try to help them get in touch with that thing that they've lost sight of, their self-worth, their truth, right? It's not easy to do, especially for men. Men tend to be more encumbered by that sort of solidity and staunch sort of resolution to overcome and all of that sort of thing. And it's like, well, this is surrender. This is really a process of surrender and defenselessness and emotional collapse, really. In a good way, not like I'm having a midlife crisis. It's like once you tell yourself that this is for your own best interest, and that you know the shifting consciousness on this side is going to be awful, because it always is. Just ask Tyna, who's just been through one. You know it's going to be awful. You know it's going to be emotional, and all you can do is be still and let it happen. right? Don't pick up a whiskey, don't roll a joint, don't ring your friends. Stay in the energy and let it happen. But in the Zoom meeting, that's exactly what's happening in a tiny little capture of each individual person's expression reading this. It's a tiny symbolic gesture or expression or witness to the efficacy of choosing again and learning to connect with what you're reading rather than just reading. And you can't connect with what you're reading by the words, because the words are symbols that represent something else. It's the something else you're connecting with, not the words. No one gives a shit what the words are, right? In love, there are no words required, no words needed. And it's like, words? What the hell? What are words? Never heard of such a thing. But here on Earth, planet Cuckoo, we need words to communicate, because we've forgotten what true communication is. Cosmic consciousness. We've forgotten what true communication is as opening our minds to the universe. Right? This has nothing to do with being a better version of yourself. It has nothing to do with being all you can be or the power of positive thinking or anything like that. This is about restoring communication with God. Try to understand that. This is about restoring communication with God. It's a rescue effort. Salvation is a rescue effort to get your ass out of the loop of reincarnation. Where I am going, you will come. Right? When the Holy Spirit comes upon you. Now, one of the things when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and I'm going to wrap this up in a minute because I like to keep these videos to about half an hour, and I've been encouraging Tyna to do this. She seems to have some resistance to it at the moment. But baptism, right? Not a religious baptism. Baptism of the Spirit, right? So baptism of the flesh, like the water and the fire. So baptism of the flesh is the water. Baptism of the Spirit is the fire. The Holy Spirit is the fire, right? Which will burn away the dead wood and leave you with the core of your being, which is truth. Symbolically, I'm not drawing anything. I don't know why I'm pointing to there. I'm not drawing anything on the board. Symbolically, put the pen down, you fool. Symbolically, baptism is, here we go. I'll get to draw something again. Let's say here's your birth here. Not that you're ever really born and not that you ever really die. I'm just making shit up. Okay, and here's your death over there. And let's say this is 100 years. And your journey goes like this, all over the place, different countries, relationships, people. And there's all these things that happen on the journey. There's all these relationships and incidents and things that you experience from the moment you open your eyes here. And it's a complete distraction of what's actually going on. You're constantly involved in something, which is why some people who feel that distraction and that thing, I'm going to become a monk, I'm going to run off to a monastery and just be still and try to figure out, it's like Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all else, this will come to you. But it won't look like that. It'll look more like this. Right? It gets less chaotic until eventually it looks like this. And anywhere you are on the timeline of your own experience, the distraction is at its most minimal point. Okay? And you're able... You're able to just open your mind like that and have something occur, which is communication, right? So, but at a certain point, you're going to have, like in reading these books, you're going to have, let's say I won't do it too wobbly, your timeline's there and you've got a lunch date here, right? I'm going to meet somebody and there's going to be two of us there, we're having this thing, and the conversation goes to doom and gloom. Right? The conversation goes to doom and gloom. You've been reading this little book. You remember, hang on a minute, I'm here to represent something else. I actually have a purpose on earth, which is to bring this other brother, whether they're aware of it, whether I use words or not, into a moment where we can enlighten that situation of doom and gloom, right? And bring light, bring reason. To make light of something is to make it reasonable, to bring reason to that whole situation. And once you master this, once you learn to understand what this is about, you will enjoy the shit out of meeting people. You might go into reclusivity for a little while, but after a few years, you'll be like, all right, I want to start seeing how this works out in the real, so out in the real fake world. So in the course of this interaction, which is a relationship, and some relationships take years, they span years, and you might have these doom relationships forever, but seemingly forever. It's given you in that moment, if you can be mindful and remember your purpose. I'm here to shine the light. Jesus wants me for a sunbeam. Literally, right? I'm here to shine the light. And I've lost count of the amount of conversations, and this is in the earlier days. I don't have many conversations these days that aren't focused around the course and aren't already preemptive with spiritual purpose included in them, because that's basically how people know me. They no longer know me as Dave the truck driver, Dave the tattoo artist, Dave the labourer, Dave the blue collar guy, whatever. They don't see Dave the son, Dave the father. They don't know me like that anymore. It's like Dave's the spiritual dude, right? And that'll do. I'm okay with that for a second. It's a kind of a way that we acknowledge each other, and so be it. I mean, the world is a place where we acknowledge things through symbols. Words are symbols. If you couldn't acknowledge someone or couldn't make sense of somebody because you didn't understand how to put them into a bracket of priorities, let's say, you wouldn't be able to prioritize salvation, right? And in everybody's life, they do have priorities. This is more important to me because of my goals, right? If your goal is inner peace and truly inner peace, which is the goal of the course, I guarantee you that the relationship that you have with me through these videos is going to be more important to you than sitting there in some cafe talking about the woes of the world, even though the person you're sitting with might have a strong emotional bond with you. Eventually, you're going to be looking at that and going, something here needs to change, because Dave's making more sense to me that I should forgive the world and move on in my spiritual journey than to sit here and contemplate the dramas and the chaos of the dream, right? Because it's just a dream. It's just a ride, as Bill Hicks says. Just a ride. Goes ups and downs and round and round. I love Bill Hicks. So it's given you to bring the light into the darkness, right? But you don't know what that is. You don't know how the hell even to bring the light into your own life, let alone somebody else's life, because that communication, that lower to higher, is so stifled by the density of ego that the purification process has to be fairly advanced along to be able to take advantage of the communication, even in dire circumstances, where you really pray your heart out. So one of the things Jesus says in the Course is miracles are your right, but purification is necessary first, right? Miracles are your right because you're a child of God. You're not unworthy of miracles, but purification is necessary first. In the crystal clear bucket of your water, somebody's dropped some mud in there, and we got to get it out because it's polluting the whole water. It might only be a little bit of mud, a tiny mad idea, which is what separation is, but it pollutes all the water of your experience, okay? It's got to be purified. You have to be purified, and that happens again and again and again. We're going to take one cup of water out, and we're going to purify it. You can do it all at once. That's the dark night of the soul, or you can do it bit by bit, one relationship or one cup at a time, and strain that water through the Holy Spirit and have it come out the other side crystal clear again. And the next time you meet this person for coffee, there will be something different in the relationship. I guarantee you there'll be some level different, because all relationships are for teaching and learning to bring those relationships into the celestial or into the holy order of truth on earth as it is in heaven, etc. And what you'll find is, oh, I went for coffee, somebody started talking about blah, 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 and I suddenly got triggered by that, and I healed it in my own mind while we were having coffee. All of a sudden, I made a decision. I don't want to join in that conversation, in that low energy, low frequency interaction. I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to enlighten the situation, but I'm going to defer the situation and my responses to the Holy Spirit as an action of mind. Help me, Father, and wait for something else to happen. Right? Let something else happen. And you'll be sometimes quite surprised what comes out of your mouth. All of a sudden, the response, which is the old script, the old storyline that you had like up here in before time began, you'd written this story of separation, which is basically a package of potential, all the things. Here, part of that potential gets played out in this relationship over coffee, and you're recognizing it. Hang on, this is the old story. I want a higher story now. I'm going to go to the cosmic consciousness. I want a better story, so that the effects of my story, when we finish our coffee and walk away, we don't feel exhausted and think, what the fuck was the point of that? I just sat there bitching and whinging and joined with somebody in a whole horrible moment, a whole hour of just, there was no joy at the end, no joy going through it, you know. And you have to have that joy, because if life is not joyful, what is the point? Life's either a daring adventure or nothing. I had a girlfriend once, Anya. Hello, Anya, if you are watching this. But she had that as a bumper sticker in a car. It was on the glove box. Old E.H. Holden, I think, station wagon. But life is either a daring adventure or nothing. You know what? That really stuck with me, that bumper sticker. I didn't know what a daring adventure was. I mean, what the hell is that supposed to look like? There's no countries left to discover. There's no, you know, I mean, unless you're a deep, deep sea diver, you might find buried treasure, or who knows. But the adventure is in mind. The adventure is here, in the coffee shop, in the supermarket. It's all an adventure. Let it be purposeful, and the adventure will reveal itself to you. You will see where it is you are being called upon to step in and refuse to join in the old storyline of death, pain, suffering, blah, blah, blah. Right? Remember, I don't know what to choose instead of that. I'm just not going to choose that. Right? I'm going to leave the gap. I'm going to leave a space for the Holy Spirit to enter in and use me as a vehicle or as a vessel for divine expression in a way where it makes sense to me and the other person. It's never going to be more than we can handle, never less than we can handle, but it's always going to leave us with that elevated joy and happiness. And it's like, at first, that's going to feel weird, right? At first, when you practice this, it's going to feel a little bit weird, and maybe your friend won't want to go for coffee with you anymore. It might be too confronting, but you did what you were there to do. You made the change, right? And eventually you'll get used to it. You'll get used to, you'll just sort of feel it, that felt good. This is right. I need to be about that more in my life, and make changes so that all of my relationships, some of them are going to fall away, right? Some are going to become more solid and more lifelong. But just don't decide, you know, everything changes here in the world. Everything. I've got friends now that I never had before my illumination. I mean, there's no friends in salvation. Technically, everyone's a reflection of your own conscious association with yourself. But there are those reflections, those associations that I have in my dreaming. The terminology is different as well. There are those that I have now who are brothers with me in this. And I was talking to Brother Gregory this morning on the internet. He's in Madison in Wisconsin, and oh man, that guy, he's got a little project going called the Love Zone, and Tyna will put the link, or Deb will put the link to his Zoom meetings as well. He does Zoom meetings. He's a different. Mine are confronting. The Zoom meetings I do are they're boot camp. Greg's are soft. Greg's are more like a church service. That's how they've been described to me. But Greg's he's an elder gentleman now, you know, in the physical manifestation of his being, and he's very gentle, very beautiful. And the the lion and the lamb, like that analogy. I would be the lion and he would be the lamb. Maybe he sees it the other way around, I don't know. But there is power in gentleness, right? The power is in the gentleness. But also there is gentleness in the confrontation once you accept that, well, not only that you really don't have a choice because healing has to occur, but that you don't want to suffer. It's like, I'm tired of suffering. Let me make the confrontation. I know it's going to be awful. I know it's going to be one of these things. I've got to put my finger on my nose and it's going to be a fucker of an emotional rock and roll ride for a moment. But on the other side, there is peace. On the other side, there is calm and clarity and the beauty of all things divine that start to remind you of who you are and what you should be about and what you are actually about. So, all right, well, I've gone over half hour, so have a look, watch that video, all right? If you finish this one, if you've got through this one to the end, watch the Zoom meeting video, which is the one that'll be below this in my list of videos, I guess. I've asked Tyna to leave that Zoom meeting where it is without putting it into a playlist for a while, just so I can make this video and whatever. The next one I make is going to be about it'll be a bit of a housekeeping one, about the list, about the database for any of you guys that want to be on our database as portals for others to get in touch with and, be about that. So, peace.